Well, that works. Whatevs. Yo, Grandmasterful Rich Rising on this beautiful day. It is a foggy one, but we in it to win it. All right. I wish you guys peace, blessings, prosperity, and success of abundance in your journey in life, and nothing but the best, because that's what God has for you. But you gotta do one thing first. Not only ask, but you have to seek the kingdom. You have to know the laws, and you have to apply those laws if you love the Lord. I don't like saying the Lord, I like saying our Lord, my Lord. The Lord is like, who is that? Who is the Lord? Who is he? Man, it is sprinkling out here. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna be able to hold this laptop out. I mean, this ordeal out here. This ordeal. This one is. I think I'm gonna have to open up that other one. All right. So yesterday I was getting my lecture on, right? And I was absorbing information at the same time. I know, right? Because it's nice outside. It's sprinkling. I'm about to come in, though. I thought I was about to do something out here. Huh? You guys gonna have to come inside with me. You're gonna have to come inside with me. I can't do outside. Oh my God, don't look at the background. Don't look at the background. It's horrific. My daughter was making a campfire slash tent slash everything. All right, babe. I do need you to, I don't know why. Oh, because it's on the other side, guys. Well, anyways, I was on that lecture yesterday, and I was absorbing some information, and I thought to myself, yo, I need to start teaching my daughter the laws of God, the laws of the kingdom, just so she's aware, you know what I'm saying? I'm alive. You didn't know, but I knew that you knew that I know that you know. Anyways, so yeah, long story short, bam, 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 bam. All right, yeah, long story short, I was getting that info. Man, don't look in the background, all right? Don't you look in the background. I was getting that info, man, and I was like, man, I need to know offhand all the laws of the kingdom, right? I need to know and I need to implement, because one of the things that I came aware of is like, man, you say you love the Lord, and you say, like, for instance, you are on this movement and you're a citizen of the kingdom and stuff like that. My understanding is, like, you got to know your laws, man. You got to know your laws. And yesterday, when I was getting off into this talk with you guys, this talk was talking about some of the laws and some of the values and some of the cultures that I dropped on y'all about the kingdom of heaven, right? That God wanted to bring on earth, that God has already brought on earth, but we need to implement and we need to show and be ambassadors of the kingdom of heaven, right? So, like, how do you do that, right? And one of the ones, it was like, yo, man, you really don't love God. And it was like, why you don't love God? And it was like, because you don't know the laws of the kingdom. And one of the things that God said the most, and even Jesus was like, yo, just follow the laws, follow my laws. And I'm not just talking about the 10 Commandments, because I thought the laws was just the 10 Commandments, and it's not. It's not really, right? Um, and becoming aware of what I'm talking about is like, well, if you got that chick that you like, and you really like her, you ain't just trying to smash, you really like her, right? Then you're gonna do a lot of footwork so you can get to know her, right? You're gonna do a lot of footwork to where, you asking the right questions. You're very welcome. As you put together our living room from the disaster. Yeah, you're gonna ask her the questions, man. You're gonna be like, yo, what's your favorite color? Well, blah, 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 right? All these other stuff, and what makes you tick, what's your plan, what's your priorities, what's your goals, so on and so forth. How's your family? Noodle head, I know, right? You like those. Me love ramen. Hum hum hum. Hum. Anyways, so yeah, man. And so that's what I was doing. I was like, yo, I mean, let me collect some of the laws that I need to know. Low key, fresh. That's what's up, fam. That is the love. I appreciate that, man. Yo, when I put it together, I was like, we're gonna just put this. Hey, yo, I don't know if you know anything about anime, but this is UA, man. UA off of My Hero Academia. That's a good anime, man. That's a good anime. I ain't even gonna lie. Um, but yeah, I'm almost at the end of that anime. I ain't watching nothing right now. I took a month or two off of watching anime and was on this mission right here. All right, so I think I want to share some of those laws with y'all. I'm gonna have my live short today, or our live short today for Lock Fam Kingdom Diaries. If you don't get the kingdom, get the lock, because we stay locked in. That's what it's about. Staying locked in. It ain't about just the locks that I'm rocking. You feel me? So look, I was like, yo, I need to know the laws, man. I need to know some of the laws, and I need to start implementing and embodying them and being able to uh, say them without looking at them, right? And what was the top laws? What was because you have tiers, right? And I'm going to just go off of it. It says the laws of the kingdom, right? The greatest commandment of the kingdom of God as taught by Jesus are, number one, love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, right? And I was like, okay, you wanna evoke that feeling, right? Because it's easier said than done, right? It's easier to say like, oh, I love God, when you haven't had a emotional connection per se to energy, to source, right? Because number one, you may not love yourself as much, so you're not really able to get to the force. Because you got to love yourself in order to get to God, right? You can't be like, oh, I love God, but I don't love myself. And it's like, no, this, you store it in energy, right? So look, that was number one. It says, love God with all your heart and soul and mind, right? And I'm going to give you this right quick. It says, you shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your mind. This is the great and first commandment, Matthew 22, chapter 22, verse 37 through 38, right? And you could also find it in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. But check this out, Lo. I understood that, and, I like saying this a lot, but look, when my pops passed, man, I came from a different place, man. I got put in a certain situation where I was like, yo, man, God is source, bro. Like, I don't want to do none of it by myself, right? I want to put God at the pinnacle of everything that I'm operating. I want to have a mind where I'm like, no, not doing it until God said do it. No, you know what I'm saying? I want to have a pinnacle of mind where it's like, I'm not moving until God say move. I'm not making that decision until God say make that decision, right? And not just God, but Abba. Not just Abba, but Lord. You know what I'm saying? It's a different mindset when you look at God as Lord, because then you understand kingdomship. You're not just saying, oh, he's my king, right? you embracing the concept of, if I move to England, right, where the newest kingdom is at, right, or the oldest kingdom, one of the ones that's still thriving. If I move to England, right, and I'm amongst the people and decide to stay there and make the queen my queen, whatever the case may be, and I go through that process, I would have to get into the mindset of having a ruler such as a queen, or as a king and queen, right? I would have to get into the mindset of what this culture is like. So it says this commandment calls for complete devotion, worship, and loyalty to God above all. What is loyalty to God? I believe loyalty to God is keeping the commandments. I believe loyalty to God is doing what his original plan was. Now, his original plan, I gave to y'all a while back, and I'm going to run this real quick. I'm going to try to slide through this stuff super fast. It says God's original plan was to establish the nation of heaven on earth through his children / mankind through colonization. When a kingdom takes over a continent or a territory, they colonize the people, meaning the culture that the kingdom brings, the people start to replicate that culture, right? Number two, God's original plan was to establish the community of heaven on earth. Number three, God's original plan was to fill the earth with the culture of heaven. What does that look like? The laws, right? Number four, God's original plan was to govern earth from heaven through the dominion of man on earth. Number five, God's original plan was to establish a holy heavenly nation on earth. Now we're going to go back down. How do we establish a heavenly holy nation on earth? That heavenly holy nation was this holy heavenly nation on earth. How do we do that? This is how we do it. We keep the laws. Because the laws, when you lay down laws, the laws become culture. And then once the culture was set, then children after generation after generation after generation only follows that, right? And I think we all want the same thing, man. I think overall, we vision, because when we have in-depth conversations, we, what I'm saying, with our homeboys and friends and girls and stuff like that, we having real deep conversations when it comes to stuff like that's happening around us and things like that. And it's like, yo, per se, like, this ain't it, right? Why don't we just do it this way? Or why wouldn't it be nice to have it this way, right? And so the first commandment was that one, right? The first law was the first one I just gave you, which was love God with all your heart and soul and mind. Now, when they asked Jesus, Yahshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, when they asked him, man, they asked God, it was like, yo, what's a law that we supposed to follow? It says, Lock fam, let's go. Grand Masterful Rich rising in the building. I know you didn't say all that, but I'm going to add on that because that's what I like to say. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so when they asked him, they were expecting one commandment, one law, and God gave them one law and two, right? So two laws in one. And he was like, yo, you can't do one without the other. They both coincide. Like, it ain't no left or right. It's these two, right? And so he gave that first commandment, and then the first one, the second law that was like ingrained, that was like, yo, this is it. Incoming, download, king in the building. Ha ha, ha ha, hurrah. Yeah, so yeah, the second one is love your neighbor as yourself. Man, I think a lot of us struggle with that one, man. But I've been practicing loving my neighbor as I love myself, because I know how to love myself more than I did at one point. At one point, I had to realize that I wasn't even acknowledging. It was like somebody asked me, like, oh, you love yourself? I'm like, yeah, I love myself. Like, yeah, But there's levels to loving yourself. And I wasn't aware of that. Now, your boy was cultivated in Detroit, Michigan. So there ain't much love in the streets. You know what I'm saying? That ain't much love that you can get from amongst people. You know what I'm saying? It's out there, and obviously people see genuine energy, and they, the real ones, where they say, when you know, right? And you had some people who just was operating and was owned by somebody else and not God. They was not owned by God, and they just had malicious intent to feel like they own the world or own you or can take whatever they want or whatever the case may be, positioned in a way that's not holy, right? And so with understanding this, loving thyself as you love your neighbor. Love your neighbor as you love thyself. Love your neighbor as you love thyself. There's levels to loving yourself. It says heart. That's hard to do in hard environments. I know, man. But you know what? You really show your power when you're able to do that. You really show your power of, no matter any circumstances, no matter the environment, I create my reality. And I think that's something that I realize in this new age, that manifestations and the universe and people talking about this spiritual and we all spiritual. I think that's something that they promoted a lot, and or this concept promoted a lot or brought awareness a lot, which was creating your reality. You are the conductor of your reality. You shape the reality that you want to perceive, because everything is about perception. So wherever you turn your face and focus on, that is your reality, right? You can focus on the thing I don't want, or focus on the thing that I like, I want experience. I see me being, doing, having all the good I desire, right? This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, right? And if a situation occurs outside of you that is displeaseful or distasteful, then what you do is turn your center of focus and you focusing on the things that are better than this situation, or you can go back and reference that from the past, right? And it's just being able to control your perception and you create the reality that you desire. This takes practice. It's not just easier. It's easier said than done. It's not a thing where it's like, number one, it can be done. It is a possibility to be done. And that's what I want to really promote the most. There's a possibility to be done. So love your neighbor as you love thyself. As a second, love your neighbor as you love thyself. And a second is like it, right? It says, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. This is Matthew chapter 22, verse 39, right? This commandment empathizes selfless love, compassion, and treating others with dignity and core, right? Or dignity and care, right? So when I address you or we talking, I come from a place of genuine, right? I come from a place of love. I come from a place of, yo, let me give this person a compliment. Let me find something about them. Let me hear what they're talking about, compassion, what they're saying, right? But not getting too engulfed, because I might not know if this person is a low level thinker, right? A low vibrational thinker, right? And so from there, if I'm able to analyze if this person is a low vibrational thinker, then I pull back and maybe drop a couple seeds, just for my own self reinforcement, right? Because I don't like to really dive too deep in that. And I know that when I'm conducting those conversations, if they drop in some stuff that are like, victim vomiting and things like that, I have to make sure that I insert myself a certain way, which is like, yo, you want to know what I think for the situation that you're going through? And then that's when I'll drop the gems. And I ask that question because most of the times, if I just say what's on my mind, I know that this person is not in the receiving mode to get it, right? So by me asking, it triggers their mind to think about if they are really willing to receive what I want to know. So, yo, you want to know what I think about that situation? Or you want to know what I think? And they think about it and they say, yeah, I would like to know what you think. And then that's when I share that information. And once I share that information, I come to sometimes to a closure of like, I needed to say what I needed to say and I heard what you need to say. So it's coming from a place of passion, coming from a place of love, because I'm taking the time to share this information because I know it will be of service and of value for you, right? And so treating others with dignity and care. Like I'm sharing my time right now for something that I can be, that I can develop an attitude of arrogance, develop an attitude like, oh, I don't have the time, or I don't have time for that old stuff in my life and things like that. I don't think like that anymore. And I can become arrogant in this matter. But this is what God is talking about. So those two values right there, those two laws, God Jesus implemented and said, like, yo, follow these two first and foremost. These are on the top of the pinnacle of everything. Because when you're dealing with people and you're dealing with God, you need to be on a high vibrational frequency, man. Because this also allows you to shape the reality. And if you have these core laws that you're implementing in your life, it's gonna change the game. You'll be able to what they call you'll be able to quantum leap in time and reality, right? You'll understand and start appreciating. Not only that, you're adding value in people's lives, right? You're taking the time to listen. And it's not saying that you are someone's therapist or whatever the case may be, but I heard it said once, they were like, when you're in relationships, your wife or your husband is your therapist, right? And it also depends on their mind, right? They become your therapist because that's the person who you share the most thoughts with. So that's why it's always important for the male and the female to be careful on the information that they absorb outside of the relationship. Because if the information is not of high vibration and is of low standards, what do they have to offer when they bring it back? And their mind is being molded to that particular thought wave. So if it's not beneficial for the covenant, which is the inside the relationship, then you shouldn't be absorbing it and bringing it from the outside to the inside. So be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. But not only that, stand guard at the door of your mind, because if you won't, someone else will. All right. So Jesus' summary of the law and prophet, right, was on these two commandments depends on all the laws and the prophets. Thank you very much, honey. Cheers.
You're doing great.
Thank you, hon. It says these two commandments summarizes the heart of God's kingdom, um, encompassing all other laws and principles. Loving God fully and loving others as oneself forms the foundation of life in the kingdom of God. I feel like the reason why these two commandments when I say commandments, I mean these two laws in the kingdom of heaven, right? These two laws in the nation of heaven, because our job is to bring heaven on earth, right? And operating and being an ambassador and understanding I'm a citizen of the kingdom, I have to represent a certain way, right? Because I know when I get among people who are in a different nation, they're gonna want me and they're gonna want to influence me to do things their way in the way that their nation and cultural role. And you gotta understand, you gotta come in, because when you representing and you're an ambassador, you have to show people the laws, the government, man. You gotta show them like, yo, that's not the way we do that. That ain't a part of the morals. That ain't a part of the integrity that I walk with. That's not a part of my king. I'm going to represent the king. And when I'm here, everywhere I go, I'm representing the king. And it's a mindset, yo. It's really a mindset. But think about it. If we're living in the United States of America, and say the United States of America was, and I'm just speaking hypothetically, right? To say the United States of America was God's kingdom, right? And it was an actual kingdom, right? When we are operating amongst each other in this world and these communities and countries and things like that, or cities, when we're operating with each other, imagine if you loving God with all your heart, loving in all your soul and all your mind, and then you also loving your neighbor as you love thyself. Imagine the harmony and the tranquility that we would operate with dealing with one another. It would be it would be exactly what God intended in the original plan that I gave y'all earlier. God's original plan means that, man. Like, what is a nation with that? Obviously, at one point, man, I used to think like, yo, oh, that's wishful thinking, like on all the stuff that's happened, who's gonna just stop and lay down guns and do all this? And it's like, dude, that's none of your thought. I don't want to do that thought capacity. I don't want to focus my mind on, is people gonna really do this? It's like, no, man, that's not what it is about. It's about me aligning my thoughts, because think about it. when you align your thoughts to certain things and, ideas and things like that, and you stay focused on that thought, a lot of the time you bring other people in these thoughts, right? Say for instance, you talking about something that's like, oh, I hate my job or whatever the case may be. I don't want to wake up, and people like start being attracted to their similar experiences or things like that, and they get the jumping in and having that conversation too, right? And it's like you can be an inspiration negatively or positively. You can absolutely be an inspiration. Inspiration is only inspiring people, right? When you aspire someone, you get them influenced. And when you get them influenced, then it becomes an inspirational action to then share and move on and things like that, right? Inspiration means in spirit, right? So you can really pick up spiritual presence. You can pick up spiritual essence on things. And you just got to be aware. It's knowledge is potential power, right? Because you can know some things and never apply it, right? So for this one, I'm thinking about going over the 10 commandments, but that was the first two laws to start off with, right? The first two laws to start off with: if you love God and if you recognize that you're a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And if you want to, fear in God is not fear in God like fearfully, like, oh, Godzilla, right? That's not it. Fear in God is the fear of disappointing someone you admire, the fear of disappointing your parent, the fear of disappointing your mentor, the fear of disappointing your king, the fear of disappointing your nation, right? The fear of disappointing yourself, right? Because I think ultimately we all align with greatness. We all align with good. We all align with being, doing, having all the good we desire. And I think ultimately, if some of us are not demonstrating that, then we seek outside of ourselves to find that, because we are naturally drawn to goodness, right? Despite the environments. And so with understanding that, I think naturally we all yearn for greatness, right? Naturally we are yearn for loving one another, right? Also loving God, right? And I think we look at God as, or we've been conditioned to look at God as like, oh, that's religion. And what if this, that is that a deity? And how does God really, because I ain't really never seen him. And, we kind of, and then there also too, you have those people like, no, I believe in God, right? But believing is only a fraction, right? It's only a small piece, because you want to establish the relationship. You want to establish the connection, right? And it's like, yo, how do I do that, right? And it's like, the laws are a part of it, but it's not per se the first step, right? The first step is getting familiar. First step is understanding. I am not talking about a religion. I am talking about a king and a kingdom, right? And there's so much juice and awareness. Because, like, look, for those people, man, who are like on a spiritual journey and stuff like that, they start to realize, like, oh, wow, there's more in the universe and things like that. And they got to understand the law of attraction and all the laws that flow with that. All these things are created by God so they can operate for us to have dominion on earth, for us to create reality, right? Dominion meant, because if you don't know what dominion doesn't mean just rule over the land and over the animals and stuff like that. It means that you had a certain way, when you move forth and you have dominion on earth. When you go fishing, you speak to the fish and you tell them to jump in the net. Jump in the net. I want you to get in the net so we can have food tonight, right? You don't have to go fishing and learning this technique. That's not dominion, right? You got to work for the food. You got to work for it, right? And we all been taught this concept like it takes money to make money, hard work hard, play hard, all these concepts, right? And that's because in the beginning, Adam lost dominion when he fell from the kingdom, right? He lost dominion, and we never got the chance to actually experience what dominion is like. Dominion is going to a tree and asking it to bear fruit, right? You literally talk to the tree, right? Jesus demonstrated that. Jesus walked up to the tree and was like, yo, where's your fruit at? And the tree was like, I don't have none. And Jesus is like, all right, die, right? Because what are you here for right now at this point? Literally, we've been conditioned, bro. Every tree that be over here are all male trees. Any tree that does not produce fruit, that does not produce forth, are all males. They're all all male trees. And so we're supposed to have fruit trees all around this mug, right? We're supposed to have trees that produce for us. Obviously, amongst the few, there's supposed to be some trees, but we predominantly in this nation, in this country, only have male trees everywhere. And so it creates a disbalance. It creates a unbalanced. What's the word I'm looking for? An unbalanced environment. It's an unbalanced environment, right? That's why when we go like Jamaica and we go to these tropical lands and we go to like Mexico along the golf course and stuff like that, they able to pluck from the trees. Abundant, man. We concept wise, we don't really grasp it because we ain't living it and we ain't experiencing it, right? But just like think about when I was growing up, we had a fruit tree and it produced those little berries that was like green. They started out green and then they turned pink and then they turned purple, right? And those berries we used to eat from. My mom used to, we eat from that tree. And you just got to understand, like I think it was called what's that? Those are blackberries, right? Those are blackberries. And the luxury of pulling from the tree is it's amazing, man. Just pull from a tree, like boom. My wife is from South Africa, so when she tells me, like, yeah, we have those. We have mangoes hanging from the tree. We have that, and all you do is just grab from it and go. Like it's nothing to it, right? If you need a food source, you don't have to depend on going to the damn supermarket, right? You don't have to depend on that. You could just operate from your own home, right? But we've been conditioned, and we got to recognize conditioning is like sometimes like, man, now I don't mind the options and I don't mind the luxury of being able to choose, but I also understand that there is great value and great gold when it comes to plucking and grabbing from your environment, not having to be restricted only one option and say we have to go to these locations to grab our source of consumption, right? That's so important, man, because that allows you to have power. Okay. I think next time I'm going to talk about the other laws. I got 11 here about the laws of the kingdom of God. And then I think I want to chop on to that when we come back tomorrow. Today is Wednesday? Yeah. When we come back tomorrow. And then I'm going to share the 10 Commandments. Some of the ones that I have in the first one are in the 10 Commandments, but not all of them. But I want to share this stuff because I want to become more aware. And I don't know all the 10 Commandments by heart, right? I don't think you do either. I think we know some of them, but we're not immersed in it. And it's not becoming a culture anymore. It's becoming one of those things where it's like, oh, that's religion. And it's like, nah, man, that's not religion. Those laws are foundational. Those laws are irrevocable, right? When God make a law, when a king makes a law, it is decree. That is it, right? Universal laws are decrees. That's it. We don't change that stuff. That's not something you change. This ain't the same democracy. You can't tie in a country making laws versus universal laws in a king law, right? Those are two different things. Democracy and king laying down law, That's why kings are still respected in democracy, right? That's why they still respect it. The Queen of England, when she came to, they do this thing, another thing, I don't know what it's called, but they do it every so often where she comes and they kiss her hand and all this stuff. And these are powerful people, right? They, the Russia, what was his, Vladimir Putin had came, President Obama was there, and then the Pope was there, and they all came and they all showed a respectful level of like, we acknowledge you as the queen, right? Because there's a level of power that kingdomship holds, and we don't understand it because we in capitalized uh, nation, right? And so we think that, oh, well, independence and all that, right? But when you become independent, that means that you got to be the source of all the things that you want. And you got to understand, when dealing with God, you are becoming dependent. So you have to change the psychology of being independent, because when you're independent, that means I don't need you, God. I'll do it by myself. I'm independent, right? I'm not a part of a nation, right? I'm me and my own self, right? I'm me, myself, and I, right? And it becomes difficult because then you have to defend for yourself. You have to take on, you have to learn, you have to do all these things by yourself. And you're not creating a sense of community. You're not creating a sense of a nation, being part of something bigger than yourself. What up, though, Crystal? HD in the building. We got Jeffrey in the building. We friends. Hey, in the club, we all fam. What? I in the club, we all fam. I said in the club, we are family. Yo, Beanie on fire, straight up. You know what I'm saying? Check out it used to have a little ball on the top. It was this color, that turquoise color. But that whole fell off, man. That thing was out at the game, man. It closed. But it says, I had, hi, Jenna. It says, I had bad stress, and I prayed to him to remove it, and I woke up the next day and no pain in the spot was painful, and it was gone too. And the thing is too, look, check this out, yo. I'm about to end it right here. I'm about to say this and then I'm gonna end it real quick. Listen, the thing is too, like, for instance, when people migrate to the U.S. or migrate in different countries like the Bahamas, or say, for instance, South Africa, whatever the case may be, right? When people migrate in these places, they're not migrating for their president, right? They're not moving to that country because of the president or because of the leader. They're moving to that country because of the benefits of the country, right? Something that they can reap the benefits of, that will add on into their life and make their life better, right? And you got to understand, when you're dealing with God, you can't come to the nation and be like, yo, I need you to do this for me, yo, right? I need this. I need free health insurance. I need this, and not contribute. You got to understand, man, you have to give your life. You got to give your life to that nation, right? Why? Because what is the point of adding more outsiders into that nation if they're taking from the nation, then giving to the nation to reap the benefits, right? And that's the difference. And I'm saying this because we walk to God and we say, oh, we need help with this, or we want help with that. And you said, ask and it shall be given. But it's like, God's like, but you ain't even following the laws. You're not even following the commandments. You're not even following the principles. You're not even knowing who I am as your king. You don't know who I am, right? And it's like, establishing that, man, you got to understand, man, there's a level of integrity that God operates in. When they say righteous, meaning my man's is like, he don't renege. When he gave us willpower, God don't choose your lady. He'll parade them around you and you get to choose. But if God had the decision to choose somebody for you, then where's your willpower? Then he just revoked everything he said, right? Then you basically saying God is not of his word, which is not true, right? Whatever God says, it is what it is, right? But you also have to understand, coming from a place that you gotta ask, but not only ask, you gotta be the stewarder. You have to receive the information as though when you went to school and college and they were like, yo, you're gonna do this subject. And you were like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this subject. And you learned the subject enough to where you got tested, you were able to give them and reverberate to them what the subject was about. And then all of a sudden, you know everything about the subject, right? When you become a nurse, you know that thing, right? You study it, you become it, all that stuff. This is the same concept. There's nothing different than what I'm talking about, guys. Same little concept, okay? And understanding that is that, what did she say? She's doing so work, taking a break. She will be back next week. Yeah, hey, you gotta make sure you capitalize that W. Yeah, don't be out here with no lowercase w. It's a uppercase B and a uppercase W. Uppercase. Uppercase. Anyways, operate with the intentional of knowing the Father. Operate with the intentional of knowing our King. Because it's beneficial. Why do we need to know about the president? But everybody know about the president. And they ain't doing nothing with that information, and it ain't beneficial. Right? So, listen, that's what I got to share with y'all today. If you're going to ask the king for things, and also thank you for sharing that highlight. That was a good analogy. I was able to piggyback off of that and kind of give an analogy on, when people move into the country, right? And, ain't nothing wrong with reaping the benefits of the country. However, oh no, why did you delete the message? I didn't need to read it. It says where the second person adding the beating. It says, could you put me on y'all prayer list to pass my license exam for this job I had an opportunity for? I believe in you. And yes. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, all right. I bet. Anyways, yeah. If we're going to ask God for stuff, man, that's really get to know. And at first, when I was hearing get to know God, I didn't know where to start. I had no clue where to start. I was like, how do I get to know God? What does that look like? I can't have a conversation with God. Or I don't know how to tap into that conversation at that point. But it just brings awareness, that's all. So with that being said, that's my nuggets for today. And I'll be back tomorrow to drop some more gems. So peace, blessings, prosperity, success of abundance in your journey in life. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Kame. Tell your wife hi. Are you born Christian or become one? I'm not a Christian. I'm a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. Right? And that's the difference. I'm a citizen and not a member of a church, right? I don't want to become a member of religion. I recognize that I'm a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And being a citizen, you understand that God is King and Lord. I am a follower of Jesus Christ. Not just a follower, but I'm an ambassador. So when you understand being an ambassador, you don't understand God wanted you to be king over an assignment. When you meet God, the sovereign king of your life, he makes you the king of an assignment. And once you become a king of an assignment, then that's when you implement that and you become that, and then you stewardship that and you make that thing flourish so you can look at the kingdom and the kingdom can see you and you could be a representation, like I said, an ambassador. So with that being said, I dropped the bars. Mic drop. One up. Peace, blessings, prosperity, and success of abundance in your journey in life. Catch you on the flip.